This is Mikendra McCoy, and she was selected for the CHSSA Hall of Fame in the class of 2017. And she's with us to share a little bit about her forensic background and her life as well. So first, congratulations on your selection. And let's chat. Always good to start at the beginning. So what is your beginning? Where were you born? What did you do in school and all that good stuff?
Well, my mom and dad met. No.
Not quite.
I am from the state of Oregon, and I started competitive speech when I was in high school. I actually threw up all over the boy that I loved in the front row of my English class.
That's a good start.
When I gave my first speech, I got out like 2 words of my book report and then barfed everywhere and ran out of the room, and needless to say, he did not ask me to prom. So my mother required that I take a speech course, and I was terrified. But in order to pass the course, you had to go to a competition, give a speech. I did an expose on underwear because I felt completely exposed. And for some reason, I won. And then it just seemed to be natural to share stories with people. And I feel like that's the basis of speech and kind of the basis of our existence. Like, there's a story for everyone.
So you did do competition in high school?
I did. I was in the state of Oregon. I was from North Medford High, Black Tornadoes, and then graduated from Grant Union High School in John Day, Oregon. But actually, I moved in the middle of my junior year, and I didn't have a coach. So my mom became my coach. And I never did debate in high school because we didn't have one. I only did speeches. So Eastern Oregon is so far away from anywhere else that on the drives, my mom and I would debate to stay awake because we'd have to drive 3 to 9 hours to get wherever we were going to compete. So it was always these, Mom, I'm going to run away. I'm in love with someone. What? You can't do that. And I'd have to give my 5 reasons why I would actually think it would be beneficial for me to run away and love the man of my dreams.
The one that you threw up on?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
That's the one.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to college at Azusa Pacific University in Southern California, and I actually started my collegiate career at a place called Vikirvärnet, which is in Sweden. It's a private school. It was a Christian liberal arts campus, and I spent a year there. And I actually ended up working for the King of Sweden while I was there, which was kind of fun and interesting. And while at Azusa, I ended up working with a think tank, a political think tank, that allowed me to go to Washington, D.C., and I got to work on a speech writing team for the Clinton administration, which was kind of cool. So I started law school while I was there and realized I really didn't want to be a lawyer halfway through that. So I did fall in love and came home.
So when you were writing speeches for the Clinton administration, did you meet the gentleman?
I did. He shook hands, and I said, my name is Mikendra, and he said, that's a really long name. Can I call you Mickey? And I said, no, sir, because I'm not going to call you Bill. And my father said, what did you just do? Telling the president you're not going to call him what he wants to call you or allow that to happen. And I thought, well, it's political suicide, so you can see why I haven't run for presidency yet.
Okay, did you want to be a teacher all the way through college? No. Was this your goal?
No, never. Never, actually.
What changed your mind and how soon?
I fell in love in college with my husband, and I really wanted to actually be the president of the United States.
You didn't make it, did you? But you still have time.
Not yet. I'm just barely old enough to be it. Okay, way over that.
And you can run now into your 70s. It's the thing to do.
Yeah, it is. And I have hair, so I could. I really wanted to be a lawyer, and I really wanted to be changing the world. And all of a sudden I realized in the middle of all of my law courses that justice and law were not the same thing. And my soul broke under that pressure. I mean, I'm a strong woman, but I struggled with the reality that they weren't synonymous terms, and I didn't know how to rectify that at a young age. So I just quit everything. I went and passed the CBEST. I thought I was going to sub. I passed the CSET, and I just thought, well, I'll try this. And then about 2 minutes into the experience of being a teacher, I was hooked forever.
So you started changing lives in other ways.
I did. I found that I could do it preventatively instead of retroactively.
Now, were you in California when you started your teaching?
I was. I started teaching at Fresno High School.
Oh, that was your beginning.
Underneath the direction of Bob Jones, who is the speech coach. He had just retired, and I took his job. And that was my very first job ever.
Gee, I remember seeing you tournament at UOP, and you were with Fresno High.
Yep.
How long were you at Fresno High?
I was there for 4 years, and they had a terrible time pink slipping teachers in and out because they just had such an unstable administration.
And yet you stayed.
I stayed actually because of a legend. Larry Smith kept my job for me. I was supposed to be moved out, and my department chair, I'll leave her name out of the conversation, was moved to Edison High School, and she was livid. And so she wrote this article in the Fresno Bee that was like, we should get rid of these young blonde teachers, and I mean, she called me out. And Larry wrote a response that said, no, there's a reason why we keep head coaches, and more importantly, why we keep academic coaches. And so he wrote this whole article about how we work for less than pennies, we actually spend more money on our kids, and most importantly that we should be there to teach children how to speak for themselves, and that he was speaking for me, but that I would speak for myself at some point. And it was because of him I kept a job, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
In the last minute, you've mentioned a couple of names who are both CHSSA Hall of Famers that were leading the way.
Yes.
Then from Fresno High, you went to
Clovis East High School.
And you were there for some time.
Oh, over a decade, 12 or 13 years, yeah, 2003 to 2014. And that was an interesting adventure.
Now, what made it so interesting?
Well, Clovis is fantastic at bureaucratic red tape, but they're also excellent at producing great kids with integrity. And I loved being there, but the turnover of administration was so constant. I would have a different learning director every year. I would have a different principal every 2 or 3 years, although I did have the best principal I've ever had, and that was Jeff Eben, who believed in the arts, believed in the communication, believed in the power of speech. So I was very grateful for him. And his theme of Feel the Love at Clovis East is really the foundation of my educational philosophy. I loved being there, but the turnover got difficult when learning directors wanted to make rules and they didn't understand what they were doing, and those would jeopardize students. So at the height of my career at Clovis East, they denied us the right to go to the Tournament of Champions. And I made a choice. I was going to take those kids anyway, and I did.
And they didn't care for that.
They didn't care for that at all. I would make that decision 100 times over again.
Well, you said you were a strong woman, so that leads
a little bit of a rebel.
That too. Well, that's part of the fun of the game.
It is.
Now, when they didn't let you go and you chose to go,
yes,
you ended up someplace else. So let's follow the career at...
I went to El Capitan in Merced. My husband's job moved us, and that's where we went. I spent a year there and did a speech team, started it. It's still running. I love that. In the middle of that, I decided I have been teaching English for years, and my first love is history. So I saw an AP Gov job come up in the Merced area at Golden Valley, and so I applied. I thought maybe I'll just go back to what I love, history. So I flipped schools, but remained in the same district, started a team at Golden Valley. It's still running too. Spent 2 years in Merced, and then my husband was transferred to the Bay Area, closer to the Bay Area, in Tracy. And so I got a job at Mountain House a year ago. I've been there, this is our 2nd year now, and we have a new team there too. So I think maybe I'm just going to travel upstate until I get back to Oregon and keep planting teams.
You're the creator. Yeah, you're doing... All right. Through all this time, you've been involved in some governmental positions, I guess I call it, positions of leadership in speech. What are some of them? Share that with us.
Well, I deem myself, of course, Queen of the Universe, and I'm working towards Dictator, but those are not actual
That's not quite yet.
Titles. Okay. I have been a league president in the Redwood region. I've been at the CHSSA Council for over a decade as well. I've served on the curriculum committee, the public relations committee. Now I'm area chair. So see, I really am working towards world dictator.
There you go.
One position at a
right.
time.
You'll be president of this organization one of these days.
Oh, I don't know if that'll happen, but we'll see. It seems interesting. I I love people and I love the activity. The positions are just so that I can hang out with more people. Truthfully, I love them.
Okay, along the way, you talk about wanting to mean something for children, and I know you have very much so. Your students have had many successes.
Yeah.
Can you share some of them?
Oh, where to begin? I mean,
well, let's limit it a little bit.
I have students who are lawyers with some of the best law firms in the world. I have students who are on Broadway and who are famous movie stars. I have students who are changing the world through nonprofit organizations with making ways for women to get jobs in out of countries and oppressive regimes. I have kids who are teachers as well. I have students who are coaches at colleges and high schools, and now they're coming back to teach me all the new ways, since I'm getting to be one of those old timers that needs to up my game a little.
Oh, that's too bad to be an old timer.
I know, I'm starting to feel it.
You got a long ways to go.
Honestly, I think success is hard to define, because there are positions that pay a lot, and then there are people who make differences, and those successes can be different depending on the crowd you're speaking to. But I have kids who are just simply by being themselves are successes, regardless of what they do as a profession.
Best answer I could have heard. Best answer. Along the way, with all those student successes, and all of them that maybe weren't overwhelmingly successful but still got a lot done, what are some of your memories, specific memories, either from state or national tournaments, or both?
Oh, so many.
Well, we're going to limit it again.
Oh, let's see. I think my favorite memory. So many. David Campos was at Fresno High and was a thug, and now he is a professor at Fresno State. He has written books and won poetry slams, and he is so very accomplished. He got the I don't even remember what the award is. It's some literary award, and Mitch Harris is a geology teacher now. The memories are important not because the kids are successes now, but because 20 years later, they come back and tell me how speech has changed their life.
Makes you feel great, doesn't it?
It humbles me,
yeah.
Because I remember that the words that we speak plant seeds into the heart of kids, and it either gives them the opportunity to become what they never dreamed they could be, or it lets them believe enough that they become what they're supposed to be. Like, oh, I'm a hot mess. I just love that we have it. So, best moment there. National tournament would be Bianca Norwood, who is now at Juilliard studying, and that was at the TOC. She took 4th in the country for humorous interpretation, and she was just a spitfire. And I remember when she came into my classroom and said, I'm going to win nationals, and I said, prove it. And then she did. So that was wonderful. Just before she walked up onto the final stage, she said, is this enough proof? And I said, no, you're not holding a trophy. Get up there. So that was good. The state tournament at Enoch's High School in 2014, I have a duo champion, and I just watched those girls work so hard to do their piece. She Kills Monsters, and then they did. They slayed the monsters of all of their competition and won. But those are centered around speech successes. I think my favorite memories are when students wrote on college entrance exams that speech gave them a voice and made them feel like they could make a difference, and now they're teachers of students who are that too, just making a difference. There are so many, laughing in van rides and sleeping on buses and stitching up pants when they split on the bus. I never had to learn how to sew so well.
Stitching up pants on a bus ride. I had a lot of experiences. I don't believe I ever did that one.
Oh, one kid just bent over and split him right open, and I was like, this is why we carry a sewing kit. And out we went.
I never carried a sewing kit either.
Oh, the bathroom box is a lifesaver.
Along the way, there had to be some coaches who were important to your career.
Oh, yeah.
Without naming too many, who would you say were a few of those who meant something to you along the way?
Oh, there are a lot of them. In my league, I would have to say that that Larry Smith, Ron Underwood, and Bob Jones were the triad of all time. They were like the three Godfather bosses. They were held as a standard of excellence in integrity and in competition. So for me, when I met Mr. Jones, who wore a three-piece suit and stood in his stature, I was terrified, and I thought, oh, I have large shoes to fill. So for him, he was always something I was reaching for. Then there are people like, there are so many. There are people like Carson Kalachian, who works with kids that people forget about, and he does it for all the right reasons and is passionate about them, and I remember that that's why we do it. I see people like Kamel Frazier, who taught me how to reach out to other people, and working with them at camps during the summer. It taught me how to just extend my knowledge base. Gay Brasher, who I want to be when I grow up. She is so stinking cute. I don't know a coach that I have ever encountered that I have not learned something from. Just speaking to a young coach today, I probably have 40 ideas about all the things I need to revamp on my own team to be better. I mean, to name them all would take a lifetime.
All righty. Now we get to the hard question.
Well, I already cried, Ron.
I know. That shows your feelings. That's why I didn't stop the recording. You've made a lot of contributions. I could name a lot of those for you. But I want you to tell me what you think your greatest contributions to speech have been.
That's a heavy one.
Yeah, I told you so.
I mean, I never want to sound self-deprecating because I know that we all give something. But it is hard to know that. Like, I think that I just do what we're supposed to do. Love kids and give them an opportunity and hang out with people and learn from them. I don't know that that's fancy or amazing.
Not fancy, but it's quite a contribution.
I think if I had to do it in order of importance, I give kids a place to call home. So for me, it is safety and family as a team. And then beyond that, it is new coaches. I mean, really, that's my passion.
You're great in that field.
I love coaching new coaches. They're so inspiring to me. And I really think that there's only 3 types of coaches. You know, there's those that know nothing about speech and debate and get thrown into the experience and then fall in love with it. They're the most fun because their ideas come from outside of the bubble or sphere of speech and debate. And then there are the people who've done it before. They just have a passion, so you're intrinsically charged by their energy. But I love working with new coaches, so I think that would maybe be it. I don't know what other people would say. They might say I add the element of crazy.
But that adds to the fun.
It does add to the fun.
Okay.
And then I think just words as far as encouragement notes. I think that's kind of my signature. I like writing notes to kids. I like writing notes to people. So tangible expressions of love.
There you go. Makes it sound, this next question makes it sound like a real old-timer, and you're not an old-timer in this game yet. But what changes do you find have been made in speech education and competition during your, 15, 16, 17 years?
Ooh, we're at 21 years.
Is it 21?
It is.
Oh, God. Well, then more changes.
Coaching and then 8 years of competition, high school and college. Man, it has changed drastically. I can remember when they told us that you had to keep one foot on the floor for interms. Mm-hmm. And now they're like cartwheeling over each other in rounds while sobbing and, twirling imaginary batons. I think most changes have been in some good, some bad. I love the new events that have been created. I love that Public Forum has been entered. I love World Schools Debate. I love some of the California-only speeches and then how they're becoming part of the national experience, like TI to the POI. I love that. I think that's great because it's just more avenues to reach more kids. Some of the scary things, I think, are those filter downs that I know have been an eternal battle in the world of speech, is everything starting to sound like policy debate. And the speed and the number crunching. The war rooms are unique in the sense of creating these extra coaches on the side, and now we have those cyber Skyping adventures and earbuds, and I don't know, it sounds like 1984 is actually in existence, but some of those techniques of hype I worry about, because sometimes I think they detract from like the solidarity of debate or the content that's supposed to be delivered. But for as many negatives as pop up, I think that there are double the amount of positives that shut down that negativity. So even if there are bad changes, they only last this long till somebody finds a way to resurrect the good.
Okay, see, I knew you'd come up with something. What do you see now projecting ahead? What do you see as the future for California forensics?
Well, I think it's going to continue to grow. I think the greatest thing that could ever happen, and we're right on that cusp, is the junior high leagues. To see it at the junior high schools is exciting. I know that the area I live in is built around these elementary schools, and getting their K through 8, so technically elementary, junior high combos, seeing them jump on the speech and debate only will breed more high school speech and debate. So I hope to see it continue to explode. And I do think tech is going to start playing more and more of a role. I know this year we had an expository that was done on an LCD projector that has never been done before. So I think tech changed the world. But from there, who knows? Maybe we'll be doing it in Skype rooms and not even at tournaments. And we won't have to have sites.
Hey,
We'll see.
now that would be fun. I just imagine what that might bring.
I know.
In conclusion, I always like to give people a chance to say something I didn't ask about, or some area that's a pet peeve, or something that you want to add to this tape.
Wow, that's a hard one. I know. Like, my profound moment. What will I say? I think a couple of thoughts. One, I think I would encourage every coach who does this to remember that they only get to the places they get to on the backs of others, and to be grateful for the giants that have led the way. Two, to encourage the coaches to never get lost in the glitter, and remember that the reason why they're there are the students who should shine, not the trophies that they hold. And I think that I would just remind myself that we're never too old to learn. Because
That's good to know. I can still learn something. Yeah.
Ron, you're still teaching me. Of course you can learn stuff too, because you're catching on to all this stuff better than I am. I love it. Yeah, and that there's a lot more to do.
Fine. Thank you, Mikendra McCoy. Mountain House High School.
State 2007 or 18.
And we thank you very much.
Thank you.